Hello, welcome to News Now on TV 360. I am Fidelia Aguncha. We begin with the latest on the attacks by suspected herders in the north-central parts of the country. 25 people are feared dead after a fresh attack on Dundu village of Kwao district in Basa local government area of Plateau State. The incident, which occurred on Monday night, has been confirmed by the state police spokesperson, Cherna Yopev. He said the police has sent a team to the community for an on-the-spot assessment. The latest attack comes days after at least 16 people were killed when suspected herdsmen attacked another Plateau community. Still on the herders' crisis, police in Ebonyi State have confirmed the death of 4 persons in an attack by herdsmen on Onwakbu community in Izi local government area of the state. Lovett Oda, the state police public relations officer, said the dead included 3 natives of the community and a herdsman. Meanwhile, one of the herdsmen has been arrested by military personnel. To health matters now, the death toll in Nigeria's Lassa fever outbreak has risen to 114. The new figures released by the Nigerian Center for Disease Control shows 4 new deaths were recorded in 12 confirmed cases in 1 week between March 5th and 11th, 2018. The death toll, which represents a 24% fatality rate from 1,386 suspected cases, is the worst outbreak in Nigeria's history. Since the outbreak began in 2018, 19 states have recorded at least 1 confirmed case across 55 local government areas. Kaduna State reported 1 new confirmed case for the first time in this outbreak. Meanwhile, 7 states have exited the active phase of the outbreak, while 12 states remain active. The Bring Back Our Girls advocacy movement has served the Nigerian government a 7-day notice to rescue the 110 Dapchi girls and the remaining 112 Chibok girls. The group says if the government fails to respond, it will scale up its advocacy and take legal actions against the government. The Chibok schoolgirls were abducted from their school in the town of Chibok since April 14, 2014, while the Dapchi schoolgirls were kidnapped February 19, 2018.
How could a school in northeast Nigeria, located in one of the 3 most terrorism-affected states of Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa, be so negligently abandoned without any form of security and surveillance and left vulnerable to the attack of February 19, 2018? What happened to the Safe School initiative that was signed onto by the federal government of Nigeria in 2014, and to which it committed $10 million alongside other donations by several donors, including members of the international community? While we wait for the federal government's response to our 14 questions, our movement, the Bring Back Our Girls, hereby issues a 7-day, 1 week, that is 1 week notice to the federal government to, without further delay, bring back our 112 Chibok girls and 110 Dapchi school girls, failure of which shall necessitate our actions.
Once you do not punish impunity, you are going to have criminality repeated all over the place. Now we are being told that the committee has been set up by the same people. To do what? It can only be to cover up. So if you want to challenge what has been done, by now we'll expect the government to have fired those who were responsible. And those 14 questions are very germane. Particularly, who withdrew the forces on ground? To whom was security handed over? And if nobody can provide answers, people have to be sanctioned.
Still on security matters, Nigerian government wants to control the importation, distribution, transportation and usage of chemicals and a bid to cut supplies of explosive materials to insurgents and reduce the rate of suicide bombings in the country. The Office of the National Security Advisor to the President is holding a 5-day National Chemical Security Conference to discuss ways to stop the buying and selling of chemicals which can be used to produce explosives in Nigeria.
Nigeria may have succeeded in beating back the Boko Haram insurgency. It is still struggling to contain the terrorist spate of bomb attacks. Boko Haram continues to carry out suicide attacks using locally made IEDs, almost at will. In the last attack in February, 21 persons were killed when suspected Boko Haram suicide bomber detonated the explosives in a fish market in the town of Konduga, few kilometers from Maiduguri, the Borno state capital in the northeast Nigeria. It's in its bid to check the spate of bomb attacks by the terrorist group that the Office of the National Security Advisor called this conference of experts on chemicals and drugs.
Over the years, nations faced with the threat and dual use of chemical substances and precursors for illicit and criminal activities have evolved strategies to mitigate, preempt, and respond to such threats. Similarly, in Nigeria, we have also included counter-IED initiatives in our National Counterterrorism Strategy, NATES for short. The focus of this strategy is to attack the criminal network of sourcing for the chemical materials used in preparing the IEDs, including the various dual-use chemicals, explosives, and accessories, and specific blend of fertilizers.
The expert here says they have discovered that chemicals designed for home and industrial use are being converted to explosives by adding other substances. They say this is encouraging the rise of insurgency and acts of terrorism, including suicide bombings in Nigeria. And much work still needs to be done to arrest the situation.
We're seeing an increased interest in the use of chemicals as weapons of terror, to include chemical warfare agents, toxic industrial chemicals, as well as improvised explosive device precursor chemicals. We're particularly seeing this in notable world events, to include in Iraq and Syria, Malaysia, and now even the United Kingdom. So prevention is at the forefront of the world community's minds. And I think that's what we're here to discuss as these threats increase. There's a shared responsibility worldwide. It's not specific to Nigeria, although it's very important. It's not specific to the United States. It's worldwide and a shared responsibility.
Another related issue the experts are looking at is to find out why young girls and boys have become the preferred carrier of IEDs. Virtually all Boko Haram suicide bombers are usually the young and innocent. Some experts say drug is at the heart of it.
The Enforcement Directorate of NAFDAC intercepted a 40-foot container of tramadol and 2 trucks exiting the Apapa port. And it was through informants that they got to know, and they quickly intercepted the 3 vehicles. We were told that these vehicles were heading for Yola, and the eventual destination may be Sambisa Forest, that have our children, our girls, being held against their will. How can a young girl agree to get IED tied around her to be a suicide bomber? It is because that young girl's mind has been stolen because of drugs.
The conference is expected to come out with a national policy on the sale of chemical over the counter, modalities for its purchase for home and industrial use, and how to check abuse among young Nigerians.
President Muhammadu Buhari has refused to assent to the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. The bill, which seeks to reorder the timetable of the 2019 general elections, was approved by the Senate and the House of Representatives. It would have put National Assembly polls on the first day of the 2019 elections, while presidential elections were put at last. However, President Buhari, who communicated his decision in a letter to both chambers, refused to approve the changes. According to the President, amending the Act would infringe on the constitutional guaranteed discretion of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to organize, undertake, and supervise elections. The Senate, who had previously threatened to veto him, are yet to debate on his rejection. Still on electoral matters, ahead of the 2019 general election, a Nigerian civil society group is seeking ways to address the high incidence of hate speech in the country to ensure next year's general elections are peaceful. The Peace and Security Network, in collaboration with the Center for Information Technology and Development, on Monday held its inaugural conference series in Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, to find a lasting solution to the issue of hate speech in the country.
The issue of hate speech is one topic that has generated plenty of reactions in recent times in Nigeria. In August 2017, the Nigerian military announced it was monitoring the social media for hate speeches with a view to prosecuting offenders. The Nigerian Senate has also been looking into the matter. It's currently debating a controversial bill seeking the death penalty for promoters of hate speeches. Adding its voice to the ongoing countrywide debate over hate speech is the Forum of Politicians, Media Executives, INEC representatives, lawmakers, and civil society groups. They are gathered here to fashion out ways to prevent hate speeches from characterizing the 2019 general elections.
There has to be a unified and acceptable meaning of what hate speech means. That there has to be a sustained advocacy across stakeholders for them to understand the implication of hate speeches and the consequences involved. So indeed, we're hoping that this Confab series that will lead us into the elections in 2019 will afford us the space for a robust interaction and engagement, and we'll be able to come up with informed and actionable decisions that would help not only the media, the government, and the people of Nigeria to begin to change the narrative.
Everyone here agrees hate speech is detrimental to the unity and progress of the country. They want the government and journalists to play a key role in reducing its spread.
Hate speech exists in Nigeria, and it is rising astronomically. It has consequences, hate speech, and we seem not to have taken into account the experiences of other countries, and we need to do that, not because we are Nigerians, but because we have a population that is over 170 million in the continent, and a major dislocation of the nation will be a dislocation for the continent.
General Dambaza is working on. We've also sent, he has already sent another bill to the Attorney General for consideration. And the bill has, tried to also define what constitutes hate speech.
We have too many laws already. Whether you are talking about specifics or whatever, the cybercrime law, which deals with the social media largely, you have the libel, you have defamation laws, all of them are there. So bringing up a new law creates the impression that, look, this government is out to guard the media.
What exactly is the media guilty of when we are talking about hate speech? Is it of reporting this unhappiness? If Fulani herdsmen are fighting farmers, all journalism prescribes is that we report what is going on. The president of the NUJ just said it. We have a responsibility to the society in which we function, so we try to moderate. But when there is bloodshed, it is our duty to report the bloodshed.
Journalists don't create events, we report events. If nothing happens, nothing is reported. So we can't continue under the guise of nationalism to want to say, let us cover up what is happening. No, we can't do that.
At the end of the discussion, opinions were still divided over a new legislation that will cater for hate speech and prescribed definite punishment for media houses that broadcast such. The Peace and Security Network, however, believes addressing the issue is a work in progress which must be concluded before the 2019 elections.
President Muhammadu Buhari has removed Paul Boro as coordinator of the Presidential Amnesty Program for former Niger Delta militants. Charles Dokubo has been appointed as his replacement. The president has also directed the National Security Advisor to carry out a full investigation into the activities of the amnesty program from 2015 to date. The NSA is to specifically investigate allegations of financial impropriety and other acts that are allegedly detrimental to the objective of the Presidential Amnesty Program. Lawmakers in Nigeria's House of Representatives have recalled a former chairman of the House Committee on Appropriation, Abdul Mumin Jibrin. Jibrin was recalled on Tuesday after issuing an apology to lawmakers in the House. The Speaker, Yakubu Dogara, noted that Jibrin has also fulfilled all the conditions for his recall. Jibrin in 2017 was suspended for 180 legislative days after accusing top members of the House, including Dogara, of padding the 2016 budget with fictitious projects running into billions of naira. His suspension followed a motion recommended by House of Ethics Committee Chairperson Nicholas Osai and adopted by the whole House. On February 8, 2018, the Lagos State government approved the amended Land Use Charge Law, which is a merger of all property and land-based rates and charges in the state. The law, which was reviewed by the Lagos State House of Assembly and signed by Governor Akinwumi Ambode, has drawn lots of criticism, most notably the Nigeria Bar Association, who condemned the act, calling it an act of wickedness by the government on the masses. The association on Tuesday held a peaceful protest on the street of Lagos to kick against the enforcement of the law. TV360 was there. Gathered here are members of the Nigeria Bar Association and other various non-organization bodies who have come out in their numbers to protest the upward review of the Land Use Charge Law by the Lagos State government. With placards bearing various inscriptions, the group marched through the streets of Lagos, chanting various songs in the presence of heavy police officers. After walking a few miles, Chairman of the Nigeria Bar Association Ikeja branch, Adesina Ogunlano, addressed journalists on the reason for the protest.
We are equal to the task of protesting. We make him governor. We make him governor. We are the people. This is a democracy. We make him to be governor. He must listen to us. And he was saying, the governor was saying that it's open to dialogue. That has offended democracy and sound leadership training. What you do is you consult before you do legislation. You can do dialogue and impose a fait accompli on the people. We will not accept it. It's not a pharaoh. We didn't vote for a pharaoh. We voted for him, Akinwumi Ambode, as governor, not pharaoh. His title is governor, not pharaoh, not emperor, not dictator, not tyrant. He must listen to us.
The protesters then continued a brief walk to the Lagos State Assembly. There, they are also addressed by their leader.
We urge our governor to listen to wise counsel over these excessive taxes your government has imposed on the people and review same downwards considerably. Please suspend, we are appealing to him now, the application of the Land Use Charge Law now for immediate review after extensive consultation with stakeholders.
After his speech, the protesters were received by Honorable Sinai Agumbiade, who assured that the government will look into their demands.
They brought their letters, they stated their case, and they itemized their grounds. As a result of that, we have received, on behalf of the House of Assembly, nothing can be done by any one of us present here about the letter, except we remit it to the institution and the House will deliberate on it. The governor is a listening governor. He's been engaging members of the society, sectors of the society, and the man has said Lagos State belongs to every one of us. What affects one affects all. What affects all must be treated by all. Therefore, the complaints by people are receiving attention of both the House of Assembly and the governor of the state. We represent the people. The governor is governing over the people of Lagos State. the voice of the people will always count because they put us in power. So we have assured them that by the grace of God, Lagos will continue to wax stronger, both in extension and execution of the laws of the state.
Despite the government assurances, a legal expert, Onyekachi Ubani, has criticized the government for the poor timing of the review.
So I think the governor must critically take a look at this particular law and see what can be done in order to be realistic with the increase. For now, the increase is clearly unreasonable, is exorbitant, is outrageous, is clearly unacceptable, and that's why people are reacting, including the professionals and lawyers. He has to avoid a situation where he runs into conflict with the people, because government is about the people. It's about their interest. It's about their joy and happiness, and then the willingness. When they see all the things we are doing, they will willingly do it. But in doing it, do not sound punitive. Do not punish them. The 15 years indices they use in arriving at the increase, to me, is very outrageous, is very burdensome, and it's unacceptable. I think they have to review that law in order to make it more realistic and make it acceptable. People are ready to pay their taxes. People are ready to cooperate with the government. But they must be realistic in whatever they are doing so that they don't attract the anger of the majority of Lagosians who actually love this government.
The land use charge law, which was first enacted in 2001, hasn't been reviewed for the past 15 years. The government has also defended the law, saying it needs to raise its internally generated revenue to close the infrastructural gap, noting it would need at least $50 billion in the next 5 years for this purpose. The state governor has already indicated willingness to dialogue for a review of the law and has already expressed optimism it will end up with positive results.
Give him his shoes somewhere here, his phone and everything.
Don't do like that again. No.
Thank you. So, bye-bye. Hey, Oga, where do you think you are going? Home.
You never shake body.
Eh?
You never shake body.
Shake body? See?
Huh? You never shake body.
Eh?
You never shake body.
I don't get combo for my body.
You go take for here. Sit down there.
Down.
What's this man still doing here?
They say I do shake body. I shake body, I shake body. They say I do this. And I say I don't get color.
You are asking for money.
Sorry, ma'am.
Asking for money to bail a suspect is an act of corruption. Both of you will be punished. Corruption is not allowed within the force. Remember,
police is your friend. Giving and taking bribe is wrong.
Corruption, not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Corruption not in my country.
People to get only 10 people to register to vote, 10 new voters. Each of us standing here today, when you get back home, when you get to your place of work, your school, try and get 10 new people that do not have their PVC to register to vote. We're going to take on our website onevoice.ng, onevoice.ng. Please go there, give us the information. If you get 10 people to vote, then you're amongst us.
So at least start with your voter's card and begin to use that to bargain about the type of person you want to see on February 16, 2019 and March 2nd on the ballot paper.
So we want to focus on people who haven't voted before. It's 100,000 people who are looking to pledge that because that gives us a minimum of 1 million new voters.
Instead of to say, oh, my vote no go count now. Try vote first, maybe you see whether it will count, you know.
Glad to have you back. The Senate has resolved to screen President Muhammadu Buhari's nominees for the Central Bank of Nigeria Monetary Policy Committee. The resolution of the Senate followed a motion sponsored by Rafiu Ibrahim, senator representing Kwara South. If confirmed, the all-important Monetary Policy Committee will hold its first meeting in 2018. The committee was not able to meet in January because it could not form quorum as a result of the Senate's refusal to confirm nominees for the 12-man committee. The review of economic and financial conditions in the economy and determining appropriate stance of policy in the short to medium term are among the functions of the MPC. The Nigeria Agricultural Insurance Corporation will henceforth provide aids to farmers to attain the goal of food sufficiency. Minister of State for Agriculture Henneken Lukbobiri said this at the inauguration of a new governing board of agencies for the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. The board is responsible for the formulation of policies and strategies for the development of Nigeria's agricultural sector.
We have a mandate to direct the agricultural sector towards ensuring that we have self-sufficiency in food. We also use that to generate employment for our people and also become a net exporter of food and also earn foreign exchange from that sector. Our agricultural research institutes and colleges have a key role to play in achieving this goal, as we have the mandate to ensure that the development of new technologies, getting the right inputs, production of new techniques, storage and distribution techniques, and processing of agro products, and all that, to reduce post-harvest losses, which is put a few years ago at about $9 billion.
I'm appealing to all our members today that are here to be inaugurated, just to make sure that they drive the vehicle as if they've been there since May 2015. We believe that we can do it. We are going to do it, and inshallah we'll do it.
We are aware that you have behind you a lot of experiences in administration, in sciences, and various fields of endeavor in life, which we believe will add value to our various agencies, which has been put together by government to support the ministry in delivering Nigeria and Nigerians the sort of agriculture we all dream of.
Prices dipped on Tuesday, extending losses from the previous session as the rise in U.S. crude output weighed on markets. U.S. crude futures were at $61.18 a barrel, while Brent crude futures were at $64.77 a barrel, down by 18 cents. Healthy demand and ongoing supply restrained by a group of producers led by the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries OPEC and Russia, however, are preventing further price falls. Dozens of people were killed overnight in several villages in Congo's northeast province of Ituri, raising the toll of an ethnic conflict that has already caused tens of thousands to flee. Fighting in Ituri has involved the Hema and Lendu communities, respectively cattle herders and farmers, who have a long history of violence over access to land. At least 130 people have been killed since clashes flared anew in December, according to an unofficial toll compiled by AFP. Around 200,000 people have fled their homes, as by estimate by humanitarian workers. Rex Tillerson has been dismissed from his role as U.S. Secretary of State. His dismissal was announced by President Donald Trump via his Twitter account on Tuesday. According to the brief statement, Tillerson will be replaced by Director of the CIA, Mike Pompeo, while Pompeo will be replaced by Gina Haspel in the CIA. Tillerson's shock dismissal comes a day after he completed his tour of Africa with a visit to Nigeria. Nigeria's coach Gernot Rohr has assured that Joel Obi's absence from action over the weekend was only a precaution and nothing serious. The midfielder was notably left out of Torino's squad to face AS Roma on Friday evening, a match his side lost 3-0. However, the Super Eagles boss says the midfielder told him he was only managing the situation as there was no major injury concern. Juventus goalkeeper Gianluigi Buffon has hinted he may consider reversing his decision to retire at the end of the season. The 40-year-old has previously stated that this season will be his last after retiring from international duty with Italy following their failure to qualify for the World Cup. However, when speaking ahead of Juventus' midweek Serie A match against Atalanta, Buffon suggested he may be prepared to carry on playing. Venus Williams cut her sister Serena's comeback to tennis short with a 6-3, 6-4 win in the third round of the BNP Paribas Open in Indian Wells on Monday. Returning after more than a year away from the game to have a baby, Serena put up a good fight, saving match point while trailing 5-2 in the second set, but her rustiness told in the end. In earlier matches, Australian Open champion Caroline Wozniacki kept alive her hopes of regaining the world #1 ranking with a scrappy 6-4, 2-6, 6-3 third-round win over Alexandra Sasnovich. Well, that's it on News Now. Many thanks for watching. I am Fidelia Agoncha.